Hello and welcome to the Business Spotlight interview series. I'm your host Sonali Nigam, and today I'm joined by David Rushmere, partner, solicitor, advocate, and co-head of the employment department at Machin Solicitor. Hi, David. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Sonali. Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
A pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much. So, would you like to kick us off with a brief background as to who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, thank you. As you said in your intro, so I'm the co-head of the employment department here at Machin. We in this department we do individual and business services. So we have a lot of corporate clients, we have a lot of individual clients. We're doing employment tribunals and everything connected to employment. We are one of several departments at Machin's. So we're a full service law firm covering all needs of corporates, all needs of individuals, really. And I've been here now for, yeah, just over five and a half-ish years now. So it feels quite settled.
5.5 year. You made it sound like it's only been few months, but really long time. So, what do you attribute your growth to?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, it's been a funny old time because of COVID in the middle of my sort of tenure here as well. So it always makes this feel a bit weird. But I think the core when I came to the role, this was my first partner role. When I came to it, my real goal was uh, making our department customer focused, like client focused.
Mhm.
We're a service sector industry. We're catering to clients. Obviously, there are an awful lot of solicitors out there and an awful lot of people that clients can go to.
Uh-huh.
And very quickly, I realized I needed to think of something that would set us apart, would make our department, the kind of department that people would work with. And I think it was recognizing that we now live in this world where people can be online giving feedback, sometimes very detailed and brutal feedback in seconds. I think sometimes unfairly, sometimes they jump to put reviews online before they've really had a chance to think about the situation. But
True.
that's the reality we live in, and those are the kind of people we work with. So you have to really bend over backwards to make sure that clients feel special, feel looked after. That's really key stuff, like doing what you say you're going to do.
Mhm.
Fundamentally, if you tell a client you're going to do something, then make sure you do it. Delivering on time, making sure that you do the things you say you do by the deadlines you say you're going to do them by. Um, and I think that's helped to build a reputation that we are reliable. And that's what's so important. That's what people come back for. That's what people tell their friends about. It's what helps grow the client base significantly. So I think that's really been a huge cornerstone of the growth of the department. Um, but I have to say that I think over my 5 years, I've realized that you have to be a little bit careful about that. You can't do sort of customer comes first at all costs. There are unfortunately some clients out there who will take everything and give very little. They don't really want to pay for what they're engaging you for,
Yeah,
or really pay the fair price for it. And they'll obviously take as much freebies, as much free time as they can get.
they can. Yeah.
And I think, again, you have to be cautious in the customer comes first. So again, pick your clients carefully. So I think probably when I started 5.5 years ago, it was very much all clients are good clients. Let's get everyone in the door. Let's really grow the department and do anything that we need to do. Um, Thankfully, I think from putting in all the effort of a lot of free time, a lot of work with keeping people happy, we've grown the reputation now to the point where we can be a bit more discerning. And actually now we can say to some clients, look, actually, that's not a matter we can help with, or even something where I think the client maybe has unrealistic expectations. So actually feeling a lot more confident to say, I don't think I can achieve that for you. You might find that you want to work with somebody else who tells you they can. Um, but see my earlier point, if you tell a client, don't worry, we can do that, you
Yeah.
better be pretty sure you can do it. Because if you don't deliver, it'll do a lot more harm than saying yes in the first case and then 3 months later having to let them down and say sorry, that's just not realistic. So I think being realistic, delivering, putting customer first, all those things are important to make sure that you're offering a service which actually, if you do that, is a pretty special service and people will
Mhm.
recognize that and come back to you.
No, I love the way that you have the customer, at the center of every decision, but also classifying which one would you like to work on. So that's quite interesting. So, David, there will be quite a lot of business owners that will be listening to you. So, what would you say are the biggest learning as an owner of the business running successfully?
I would say it was learning to spot those good clients maybe from the not so good clients. So, I'll get several calls a day from prospective clients who've got matters that they would like to instruct us on. And again, I think that's testament to all the effort we've put into building our reputation. Some of those clients have unrealistic expectations about what they want and what they want us
Uh-huh.
to help them achieve. And being being upfront with them actually, I think, and not being afraid to break bad news early on rather than putting it off till a later date. So again, if you think the client hasn't got a good case, I would much rather tell them that in a free, 20-minute phone call
Right.
than take on their work, take their money, and then months later say, actually, we were never going to be able to achieve this. And that, and that
Yeah.
brings us back to that question, well, sorry, why did you take my money in the first place? So I found particularly clients, solicitor clients are very outcome focused. They don't really care how you do things. They just want things done. So whatever they're
Right.
trying to achieve, they want the outcome. They don't want to know how you do it. They just want it done and they want it done as soon as possible. And if you say you can achieve something, not being sure that you can, you do run this huge risk that, yeah, you're going to disappoint the client, and then that's going to become negative feedback and an online review that you can't get rid of because it's a fair criticism. If they say, well, I was told that I could achieve this, they took several £1,000s of my money, and 3 months later they told me they couldn't. That's a pretty damning review from any service sector provider. So yeah, I
True.
think being bold to be honest with your clients about actually what is achievable, what is possible.
That's quite interesting and some transparent answers, I would say. So, talking about this, and because we need to make sure the interview is full of learning, what challenges are you facing currently in business, if I can ask that?
I mean, I think probably again one of our biggest challenges is the fact that we are, in a sector which is pretty flooded with
Yeah.
providers. There's you throw a stone and you'll hit several solicitors on the way. So, um, there's a lot of solicitors out there, a lot of solicitors who are promising the earth, and come back to again my earlier point, won't necessarily deliver, but that'll turn into bad feedback down the line. But it doesn't necessarily stop them taking a section of clients in competition with what we do. And being honest with clients up front obviously naturally pushes away some of that business. So
Yeah.
I'm almost actively discouraging some clients from instructing us because I would rather that they knew that they couldn't achieve what they wanted to achieve than
Right.
instruct us, pay the money, and then find out down the line that they can't achieve it.
They can't. Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, they may well go to another solicitor who may well be happy to take their money
True.
and deal with the situation down the road. That's the kind of consequences of how I do business and how I feel I can come to work and hold my head up that I'm offering something that I think is special. Um, so I think that's the toughest part is having to turn away some clients. And actually, to be fair, there's probably some collateral in there, that actually, if I took some of those clients on and really looked into their matter in more, finer detail, such that they would pay for that review, perhaps there was something I could find in there that would be worthwhile.
Right.
Um, so I guess in some ways that my risk is I'm turning away some actual business, but I think it's that trying to put as a priority that customer first. I don't want you to waste your money if I can help it.
Uh-huh.
That priority, I guess, risks some collateral, which is occasionally good clients going back out the door and maybe going somewhere else to another solicitor. Um,
True,
and that's a
David.
big challenge. Yeah, that's a really big challenge because it's finding that fine line of, yeah, where it's worth somebody instructing us or where I feel that they'll be happy with the outcome rather than um, yeah, taking on work that I can't always deliver on and then having to deal with some of that fallout down the line.
True, and that's quite risky as well because if not you, maybe somebody else gets the business, but then you are, putting customer at front and realizing the fact what needs to be done and what is something that is not achievable. So that's quite motivating. And talking about it, we've talked about various aspect about your business. Uh, I would also want to know how do you balance personal life with the demands of running a business, and how do you strike that perfect balance between the two?
Yeah. So I have to say I haven't always lived this, but the the so I have young children, and since having those children, I've tried to really put really firm lines in the sand so that I leave the office, 5:30, get home so I can be there for bedtime and to see my kids. Even if that means having to log back on later, carry on working in the evening, but actually trying to be strict with your day
Right,
have made me so much more efficient. So I used to pre kids, I would just work till the day, till the work was done,
right.
go home and then come back the next day and do until the work was done again. And the problem
Uh-huh.
with that is your day just keeps expanding. So those tasks, you just add a few more tasks, they just take a bit longer. Suddenly you're there at 7, 8, 9, 10, and suddenly
True.
you're home. So putting in place an immovable, end of the day, which for me took having kids to become a priority that I was going to do that, that gave me an end of day that I couldn't miss. And suddenly I found I was so much more efficient during the day and I was so much better at prioritizing and getting things done because I kept thinking, well, I'm going to turn off my computer at 5:30 and walk out the door. And I really don't want to have to turn it back on this evening to kind of carry on working. So it makes you a lot more focused. Whereas, yeah, allowing your day just to work through till sort of 7, 8 o'clock, suddenly you find you've done no more work than you could have done by 5:30, but it's just taken you a lot longer to do everything. So yeah, I think for me, work-life balance is discipline, is being strict with yourself. So holding yourself to those, those deadlines, those times where you say, right, this is the end of my workday, I'm going home. And obviously
Uh-huh.
there'll always be occasionally something that has to flex, but it makes you a lot more focused. Actually, do I really need to still be here at 6 o'clock, seven
Yeah.
o'clock, or can this wait till tomorrow? Um, and coming back to that client piece, it makes you a lot more focused on, managing client expectations, making sure that, you're setting yourself realistic deadlines. So now I will not necessarily say to a client, I will have this for you by the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
come what may. Actually, I feel bolder to push back and say, okay, that's no problem. I'll have this for you tomorrow because I know that I'm not going to stay after 5:30 to get it done. If it's coming, 4 o'clock, the old me would have just said, yeah, don't worry, I'll have this for you tomorrow. And the client will always take it. They'll always be very happy that you've got it for them by the end of the day. But
Yeah.
actually, they probably won't mind if it comes tomorrow as well. Um,
True.
and again, if you've built that relationship of trust with a client that they know they can rely on you and they know that they'll get a good piece of work back, they'll be
Uh-huh.
fine tomorrow just as they will be by the end of the day. So yeah, I think I'd say that's my key, but it's taken me many years to become confident, I guess, enough to do that, to be able to say, I'm going to walk out the office at 5:30. And I have to say, I walk out and a lot of my team is still sitting at their desks. And I try to make a big thing of actually walking past and saying goodnight to everybody, because I
Wow.
think it's a big culture in workplace of almost being embarrassed to leave on time. That
Yeah.
people go, oh, you're leaving at 5:30, you're not doing a very good job or you're not working very hard. When actually
Yes.
the people who are leaving at 5:30 are probably the ones working the hardest in the office because they're the ones working, ensuring that they're able to leave at 5:30. The ones who are still there have could well have been dragging their heels all day to make sure that they can be the last ones to leave so they look busy. So I try to make sure, I say goodnight to my team so they all know, go home. You don't have to be here. Go and have a life. Don't be in the office all the time.
It just feels like that you're setting up standards for each one of them and also helping them to get disciplined with their work, which is fantastic. And you talked about your team, and that's where my next question is around. So, what qualities do you look for in employees when you hire them, and how do you foster a positive and a productive work environment?
Yeah, okay. So I think for me, the most important thing is people who can get things done. doers. I need people who will, if I ask them to do something, they can go away and have enough initiative to get it done without too much help. I
Uh-huh.
think it was Barack Obama who, when asked the same question, he said, "Learn how to get things done." And what he
Right.
meant was, be a person who can be delegated a task and take that task and do it with minimal assistance. Everyone will always need some support and guidance. So know when to ask the right question. Don't feel like you have to go away and just do the task until it's done and then come back completed as if, you don't need any help. But if you're the kind of person who finds it very difficult to uh, complete tasks in the workplace,
Yeah.
I think you try to find a way to empower yourself to make decisions to move the project forward. The way I do it with my team is I'm very big on why we're doing things. Because I think if you give people the answer to why they're doing something,
Yeah.
it's far easier for them to understand how they're going to do it. If they don't understand why they're doing something, of course they don't know how to do it because they don't know what they're trying to achieve. All they've got is this goal, this outcome that they're trying to get to, but they have no idea why necessarily they're doing it. So if you talk to the team about why something needs to be done, they then understand what needs to be done and they can go and make a lot of decisions on their own to
Hmm.
achieve the outcome. Because if you don't give that to your team, if you don't empower your team to do that, then really you're just going to have to micromanage them through the whole process. And actually, then there was no real benefit in delegating the task in the first place because you may as well have just done it yourself. So trying to ensure that my team feel and I suppose feel confident enough to do that. So I give them the space to go and achieve something. And part of that is recognizing that everybody will do things in slightly different ways. So,
Yeah.
for example, if I ask someone to write me a letter to the other side or to a client, I won't then red line every single word, to give it back to them and say, well, this isn't how I would write it, so this is how I want you to write it. Because then again, I may as well have just written the letter myself.
Hmm.
If I accept, or as I do, I accept that other people will write things in a slightly different style, as long as they're achieving the goal,
Goals. Yeah.
that letter's good to go. Um,
Hmm.
and if you do that as well, then the team feel more confident that they can do things. So the next time they do it, they won't need as much support. And again, you can build these genuinely high performing, empowered teams that can get things done.
I feel how much you are focused toward your team in terms of accepting them the way they are and then giving them that power to to work and power to be themselves, which is something quite inspirational, David. That's what I felt, and I'm sure our audience have learned and picked up so many things so far. So is there any closing remark that you would like to share with the audience, or maybe a golden nugget before we let you go?
Um, no, I think that's the thing to think about. I think, as I said, it's all about if you want, you can achieve so much being part of a big team. I think there's a huge move for people now to go much more individual. People want to break away on their own, be their own, consultant or their own boss. Now, I think that's great, but I think you can actually achieve so much more being part of a really good functioning team.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I think you learn so much more, you grow so much more, you can achieve so much more. But I think that's the key word is functioning team. It needs to be a genuine functioning team, not
Yeah.
12 individuals who are all doing their own thing and trying to undercut each other or, you know, climb on each other's backs. It's about growing as a team together. So I think being a really strong functioning part of that team will make you the kind of person that is just totally indispensable to a boss. So be that person in that team, and I think you'll find you go a long way.
Thank you so much, David. It was great meeting you and learning so much about your journey and some quite inspirational things and the way that handle the team, plus the way you're motivated and or maybe the way you're disciplined. I think there's a lot of learnings that I literally had, and I'm sure our audience have picked up so many things so far. So to everyone watching, I look forward to see you in your next episode. Thank you so much, David.
Thanks, Nani.
Thank you.